Hey, everybody. Today's episode is brought to you by sheer exhaustion, of course, a questionable amount of caffeine, and spam. Not just the kind that fills your inbox and makes you question every time you've ever entered your email online, but also the kind that comes in a can and has been alive almost twice as long as the majority of us have. That's right. Welcome to this episode of the Big Fucking Feelings Podcast, which we fondly refer to as Spam Squared, where we explore the deliciously disturbing world of both mystery meat and mystery emails.
How excited are you to eat spam?
In the words of my wise daughter, Gray, I think I'll pass. No, actually, this is going to be interesting, right? Because after coming to your house and picking up said spam, I put it on the seat next to me in the car on the way home. I took a picture of it for us just in case we need this. And being in an enclosed space, dare I say trapped, with spam that has just been crisped up into fries is maybe an experience that I never want to have again.
Your car is just going to reek of stiff meat.
I know. Like when you pull up to your house and you've got a full garbage can and you can typically smell the garbage can, and instead all you can smell is the spam fries, that's a problem.
I'm sorry, but this was your idea.
Admittedly, I had had a margarita before this idea.
That's
so, I just want to at least put that out there. Yes, because everyone should talk about mystery meat on a podcast. I do feel like, and I actually, to be honest with you, didn't know that there was a correlation, like a true correlation between spam and spam emails.
It happens to be such a happy accident.
Right. Yes. That kind of blew my mind a little bit. Because the idea that potted meat and, emails that clog up my inbox have anything to do with one another was just not even a thought in my head. So that was kind of an interesting little development along the way. But first, we should talk about the fact that you've done a splendid job of cooking these spam fries that, by the way, they did actually look okay coming out, but of your fryer, but now they're
sad. It's sad. It's a sad, this one, find a really crispy one and you'll be in better shape probably. But like I said, and I'm saying this now because I have a real aversion to certain textures of meat, and
there's so many places I could go with that, but I'm just gonna let that one lie because I feel like everybody else's imagination is probably even better than what I could say right now.
Let me continue by saying I prefer a stiff meat.
No.
I do. I can't help it. I was born this way.
Again, I'm just gonna I'm going to leave people to their own devices and thought bubbles on this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I grew up, those Vienna sausages that come in a can? It's like...
Please don't make that motion on our podcast. Please refrain from that motion ever again on our podcast.
And I'm so sorry. I didn't...
Maybe off the podcast too. Okay. Yeah, but yes, I know exactly. I know
I'm so embarrassed right now. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Your face is flushing the color of the spam fries.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, yep. Go on. Sorry, yes. Vienna sausage. Let me not slow your roll on the momentum here. Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Another canned meat that we will never try here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It comes in, it's too gelatinous. How do you say that word?
Yeah, gelatinous.
Yeah. It's too gelatinous, and it smells like cat food. And when I opened the can of spam, it had the same smell and vibe.
Well, when you're talking about meat that's been in a can for God knows how long, it's kind of, well, A, disconcerting. B, you can't expect it to have that sort of fresh from the oven smell. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's mystery meat or as Gray, I asked Gray earlier what she knew about Spam, and she was like, that it's nasty. And I was like, anything, would you care to elaborate? And she was like, that it's a suspicious meat square. I was like, that's a pretty good interpretation of it. Suspicious meat square.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nothing screams like fine dining quite like a gelatin covered canned meat product with a shelf life that's, that could last through the apocalypse. So
yeah. I'm not looking forward to trying this.
It's a culinary marvel. What are you talking about?
You asked me if I eat hot dogs, and it said it wouldn't be quite like it might be similar. And I haven't had a hot dog, like a true hot dog, since the 4th grade.
So I didn't know this about you. This was actually news to me. I didn't realize that. And is it texture related? Is it ingredient, like mystery ingredient related? What is it the taste of it? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. Well, I read the ingredients in the 4th grade.
Oh, yeah.
And
That was a mistake.
I should not have done that because ignorance is bliss. And
yeah.
And I read something about there's an ingredient that's called earthobate, and I never really fact checked myself, but I heard that earthobate meant like worms, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. So no thanks. It's probably not true because that was 4th grade pre-internet Ashley.
Yeah, and maybe not something to talk about before we ingest Spam.
Well, I've stiffened it to the point that it can't have a worm-like texture, hopefully, unless it's sat too long now and we're screwed.
Yeah.
But I also made, a sriracha mayo.
Yes, I'm excited for and I don't know where you got
I just dropped it on my computer.
No, you didn't.
I straight up spilled it. I was showing, and
it's okay. Do we need to take an intermission while you clean this off your computer?
No, I'm just gonna let it sit there until it's not on the keys. It's just on the I'm gonna take a picture of it though for.
Yeah, can you please? And also, this might be a good time to introduce the fact that we're drinking cheap wine with it, because what else would you drink with poor man's pate than cheap white wine? Which, by the way,
Playboy glass.
I've poured into the Playboy glass because I'm like, if we're going to eat something this raunchy, then I should put it in a raunchy glass. Sidebar, though, this is actually an official. It's got a sticker on the bottom and everything. Playboy glass that I got years ago when I went to the Playboy Mansion many, many, many moons ago when I was a tiny little thing. And, I'm not saying I was scantily clad. I wasn't, but there were a lot of scantily clad people there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a scene, and it was a highly interesting scene, let me tell you. But I went to the grotto, and this was like the parting gift, was 2 Playboy glasses. And here we are. So yeah, raunchy wine in raunchy glass with raunchy Spam.
And full story on that glass, probably episode 3, I think, if you want to know more.
Yes.
How appropriate though that I chose my Muppet Show glass. I chose Playboy.
This kind of says, this is like this epitomizes us in a nutshell. Like, you with a Muppet Show glass and me with a Playboy glass. This is us in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love it so much. Well, cheers with cheap wine.
Cheers with cheap wine to Spam squared. Which brings me to, yes, this idea came up over margarita. And I was lamenting that the last time that I had to have my credit checked, and anyone who has ever had their credit checked, well, I guess in recent years, for a refinance or anything, I don't know. purchasing a home, will know that first day after my credit was checked, I got 97, and yes, I did count them because I am crazy like that. I got 97 spam calls. This is not including the emails. This is not including the texts. The texts were easily erased and blocked. The calls, not so much. And this warped part of my brain was like, oh man, if only I could have gotten just 3 more to make it an even 100, which is the dumbest thing I've probably ever thought, because I didn't want the first 97. So why my brain wanted the final 3, I'll never know. But 97 calls that first day. And it was insane. And it started at 8 a.m. on the dot, and it ended at 5 p.m. So 8 to 5, 97 calls. That's like every 5 minutes or so. It was obnoxious. I was.
That's too much. Your data was breached.
Ooh, I was so overwhelmed. And even though there's like, and I know we're gonna like get into this other stuff. I know we need to eat our spam fries before they get even
grosser,
more disgusting than they already are. So we'll go back to the spam emails later. But I had to like vent and get that out.
Yes.
That part out right away. Because I signed up for the opt-out, and apparently it takes 90 to 120 days for it to take effect. So despite the fact that I'm like, hey, don't fucking call me anymore, everybody's calling still for 90 to 120 days. At which point, like if you're refinancing a house or closing on a house, that your 30-day escrow is long over by the time.
Yeah.
Like at that point, they don't give a crap about you anyway, because they've moved on.
Yeah. I just don't understand it. And the people who do those jobs, just, I get it. But also, why do that job?
I don't know.
Why be that person?
And I did actually say to one of the people who called, who actually was really nice about it, because I got some people who were nasty, because a couple of times I picked up thinking, because because they call you from,
yes,
it's like countrywide. They come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
It's like how every 7 years we get the cicadas that come out of the ground. That's what it feels like. It's like a swarm of cicadas. Yeah. So, but a couple people were just nasty when I said no, thank you. I said no, thank you. I wasn't rude. But one of the people was just like really kind, and they were like, I'm sorry. And I was like, listen, there's no need to apologize. This is your job. I get it. I'm not interested, Right. But yeah, it's like the cockroaches of the internet. It's terrible.
All right. Should we dive in?
Yes. Oh God. This is like,
I just want to get this over with.
All right. That's fine.
I picked the crunchiest one.
Okay. I'm like,
and I'm going to drown it in sriracha.
Okay. Yep. Here we go.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh no. No.
I kind of like it.
I do not like that.
I mean, there's sodium for days. Like, I'm going to attract the neighborhood deer. They're going to think I'm a salt lick if I eat more than one.
No, I did not. I did not like that. I do not ever want to have that again.
No, like, can we, is it wrong to chug?
No, it's more like apple juice, this cheap wine.
Yeah, I'm kind of using it like a mouthwash. All right, well, let's talk about some history of spam, because I do actually think that the history of spam is interesting.
Yes.
And I didn't know much about it, because the only time I've ever had it prior to this is I went to Hawaii to visit one of my best friends years ago. And I was at like a really high-end restaurant. And they served like, I want to say it was like a little amuse-bouche or something of spam. It was literally just like white bread or milk bread with mayonnaise and spam. And I didn't realize how popular it was in places like Hawaii, but it's like a cultural icon in Hawaii and Hawaiian cuisine, right? Like they're Burger King and McDonald's serve it. It's that kind of cultural icon. And like there's they've got like it looks like Spam sushi or whatever. They wrap it in rice and seaweed, and like pretty much anything tastes good in my opinion wrapped in rice and seaweed. So that element of it was great. But they have like a celebration, an annual celebration apparently called the Waikiki Spam Jam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, where it's like a festival dedicated to canned pork, which is just, it blows my mind. But so the history of this apparently is that it was introduced in like 1937, and it was created by Hormel, who I think also does the Vienna sausages, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. They're the king of canned meat,
right? Like they have a monopoly on suspicious meat. But first of all, that always Hormel, just talking about Hormel in general, always makes me think of you've seen the movie Grumpy Old Men.
Yes.
Which I love. I love Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. I just think they're amazing. But there's that scene where I think it's Walter Matthau he's got like a dog. It's like a bulldog or something. I'm like vaguely remembering this, but one of the guys, Jack Lemmon's character is like, "What are you feeding this dog?" And he's like, "Hormel chili." He likes it. And I just always think of that when I think of Hormel.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to go get a napkin to clean this off of my mouse pad because the thing is heated up now and it's acting like my finger and my mouse is doing things to the.
Oh no! Oh God!
It's okay.
I'm just gonna drink away the flavor of the Spam while you're doing that.
Yeah, you have to. It's not like it literally is on my mouse track, so it's not like it's in any keys or anything. It just.
I mean, if you're gonna spill sriracha on your computer, I guess that's probably the spot to do it.
That's the best spot to do it, but now it's a little bit greasy. So, thanks for your patience. Oh, all right. Never again.
It's our karma for having Spam.
I mean, fucking Spam.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, going back. So, 1937, right? But then it became popular because in World War II, they were giving it to it was like a staple for the soldiers, which I'm like, okay, yeah, nothing says thanks for your service like, a rectangle of mystery meat. Like, that's... Wow. I mean, we probably could have done a little better than that, but maybe not. I don't know.
When the going get tough, the tough eat Spam?
I guess. I don't know. And when I was researching this, you'll love this. I found this girl on YouTube, and I would send it to you, but I literally cannot locate this thing again. It was like a one-time...
magical moment.
Yeah. So this girl on YouTube had done this video, and she was talking about where the name Spam came from, because I was curious, like, what this is all about. And there are a lot of acronyms out there. I didn't catch all of them. My own personal one is like sketchy potted ass meat. And I don't mean sketchy potted ass meat. That would be like that's like the HBO special version. But like sketchy potted ass meat, potted ass meat.
Yes.
That's my version. Anyway, there were a lot of acronyms out there for this. And but she was saying that Hormel was saying, or somebody, or maybe the president of Hormel, I don't know, was saying that it was a combination of the word spiced and ham.
Yeah, I read that.
Spam. But then she was also saying there was like a rumor that someone had blurted out the word Spam during a naming contest. And then there was even another, she said the manufacturer's website, which I couldn't find, but says that only a small group of people know, like former executives of Hormel, know what the real reason it's called Spam is, which just sent my mind reeling, right? I'm like, oh, there's this inner circle of executives about, who know what Spam is. Like, I'm picturing the scene from Eyes Wide Shut, the Kubrick film, right? They're like in some sort of cloaked clandestine club. How's that for an alliteration? Secretly discussing Spam. I mean, I'm just like, I'm kind of it took on a life of its own.
I can't even imagine, like, talk about being in the room where it happened. Like, that's
like your claim to fame. It's like on your gravestone. It's like I know the real reason it's called spam. All right.
The secret of spam died with me. Like,
yes.
Oh my God. Ah.
Are you okay? It's the spam. Did you just try to take a sip of wine or what happened?
No, I'm coming off of it wasn't COVID or the flu. It was like some random virus that my son coughed in my face. And now
that's nice.
It's like sometimes I cough and it's gross.
Okay.
And I was on an antibiotic for like a week. It's still here.
I mean, you can blame it on the spam. I don't think anybody's gonna know the difference.
Blame it on the spam.
I mean, we could probably do a full version, not that we want to, of that song.
We don't want to do that. Okay, well, did you know that there's a whole ass spam museum?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, nothing says family road trip like visiting the place where people passionately debate canned ham's legacy. Like, that's what I wrote down.
Like, what did they really have in this museum? I'm picturing glass cases of, World War II time spam cans, but beyond that, I've got nothing.
So it's located in Austin, Minnesota, which is also known as Spamtown, USA. You can visit the Spam Museum, which features exhibits on its history, cultural impact, and even interactive spam-themed games, which I do not want to know.
This is the closest to an interactive spam-themed game that I ever want to experience in my life.
I draw the line here. I won't be visiting the museum.
That's really quite the claim to fame for little Austin, Minnesota. You said Austin, and I was like, Texas, really? But no, Austin, Minnesota. So that's
it's so cold there that maybe they need apocalyptic canned meat to help them in the winter.
Probably all that sodium. It's like a preservative that's keeping them,
Do you live in Austin, Minnesota, and you're listening to this?
Right. I need somebody to weigh in on this. Yeah. It's fascinating. I don't want to visit, but it's fascinating.
No, but I want to know, like, have you been to the museum? If anybody listening has been, what was that experience like?
You know what else I think is interesting is that there are apparently multiple versions of spam, right? Like I was just talking about how much sodium it has, but like there are light versions, like there's a low sodium version. But I think of that so similarly to soy sauce. Like, the regular soy sauce has so much fucking sodium in it. So does the light soy sauce. It just doesn't have as much. So I'm like, how low sodium is the low sodium spam? Like, I think next time I'm at the grocery store, I'm going to have to just take a peek, take a gander.
I don't know, but I bought us full sodium because I wanted the full experience.
Well, sure, of course. Like, go big or go home,
It's true. I mean, we could go on and on forever about just the disgustingness of what is canned meat, but I feel like I don't know. Maybe I want to move on.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to move on. But I do want to put a disclaimer in this whole thing, which is that if you like spam, if spam is like, I get that, first of all, culturally, there are a lot of families out there that grew up on spam, or even, who that was just part of their childhood. Like Vienna sausages was part of yours. Like, I don't want to take away from those who love spam. I think our attempt here was to make spam fries because we were somehow, for some unknown reason, trying to make something super classy out of some meat that comes in a can. And that kind of backfired on us. I feel like it didn't really work. It's not the best, but it's, maybe there are some spam dishes out there that I would absolutely be head over heels over. So I don't want to completely dismiss spam as a product. I also don't want to be sued by Hormel. So I'm just, I'm just like putting that out there. Like maybe you like spam. If you like spam, tell me your favorite spam dish, and let us know so that we can, we maybe can consider giving it another chance. Debatable, but it's possible.
I always say I'm open to trying anything once, and I did try the spam as fries, but if there's another option,
right,
bring it on.
Right.
I'll keep trying to love spam.
Maybe spam cleverly disguised as like a brisket is fabulous. Who knows? I don't know. That sounds horrible, by the way. Don't anybody try that. Like, don't listen.
Someone has.
I'm sure someone has. That's probably true.
The thing is, it may be the thing that saves the world when the zombie apocalypse happens. Like maybe spam is what gets us all through.
Yeah, so, like if you're currently building a bunker, spam is a pretty damn good choice. And like, here's my thing: if there's an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse, and I'm in a bunker, I don't have a bunker. So that this is all
we're looking for a bunker is what we're saying.
Right.
We're looking to be invited to your bunker.
Right. If you have a bunker, please send us an official invitation.
Yeah. Save us the space.
Just in case we need it.
We also have kids, so save the kids' space too.
Yes, please. And dogs. There's a lot of dogs.
So many dogs.
So many dogs. And the dogs probably would like the spam. So there's that. But yeah, I would say spam is probably a fantastic choice because if there's an apocalypse and this is all that's left to eat, like I'm not going to complain about this.
No, and if you ended up dying, like you're pretty solid on the mummification because you've got all that sodium.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Yeah, I just don't want to be elitist about my apocalyptic consumption. You know what I mean? Like if I can't go to my favorite restaurants and I can't have, a cheeseburger as my last meal, like some spam is not the worst thing we could have.
I would let it sustain my life if it were the last option.
Okay, so we got somewhere here. We made some progress. Okay, now let's talk about the email plague that is the other spam. And will you please just talk a little bit about how one spam led to the other spam? Because this was really fascinating to me because I did not know. I thought they were two completely unrelated things. They're not.
Yeah, I think,
because you sent me this video. Let me preface this with the fact that you sent me this video, the Monty Python video.
Yes.
And it was stuck in my head for the rest of the day. And all I could do was walk around going, spam, spam, spam.
If anybody, I'm definitely gonna post that because it was worth watching, but it was just like they took that word spam and they just went overboard with it in this sketch and made it feel like just trash, like coming at you from all angles.
Yeah.
And really, I think that is how the whole thing got started. But the first spam email was sent in 1978. Did you know that some dude in 78 sent a mass email promoting computers?
Really?
Yes. And it was just like he invented the original digital STD. Like,
here's what's crazy. I was a year old when that happened. So, you think, like you look at the span of your life or the spam of your life, as the case may be, and you think about what has occurred since you and so many things you're like, oh, that happened 10 years, a decade before I was born, 3 decades before I was born. Spam actually didn't exist until after that, which is so crazy to me.
Spam in email form, at least, or digital form. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that probably spam physical mail probably existed before that because you're getting advertisements and things in the mail.
Sure. Interestingly, I sort of reluctantly say this with admiration, but my ex-husband has had this, what I think is a brilliant idea. So when he had purchased a magazine subscription to Harper's Bazaar. Okay. And this is back when we were married. And he, in order to keep track of where his name was kind of being sold to lists, he put Harper's as part of his name. So whenever, I mean, I'm still getting mail to this day, thank you very much, on like snail mail, addressed to Brad Harper's.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's kind of a brilliant idea, right? Because you can actually keep track of who sold your name and why you're receiving the ads you're getting.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right? I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like spam texts have, to me, gotten out of control, and obviously the phone spam that I was talking about earlier with the, you know, having your credit checked for a mortgage or refinance or whatever. But what really got me, I think this might have been how our conversation started, and where like my original I'm having big fucking feelings about this thing came into play, was during the last election, I was so overwhelmingly inundated with emails from both political parties.
Mm-hmm.
It got to the point where I was getting hundreds, and I don't know how that happened. Like, I really don't know how I got on the list. Like, obviously I'm registered to vote, but other than that, I don't really understand. So I was just hundreds of emails a day from both parties,
Yep.
each wanting, you know, donations to their campaign or whatever it is. And it got to the point where like, I can't use that email address anymore because I couldn't find any of the important things.
Yep.
God forbid I get an email from, you know, the school needing, I mean, it was insane. So I've kind of given up on that email because it just got so out of control. So that was really how I think all of this came about.
Yeah. I think that it destroys lives. Spam destroys lives. It costs the whole world, it costs $20 billion a year to take care of spam. Like, that's a whole lot of wasted productivity. But in my research, what I found was that Hormel, the company that owns Spam, the food,
Mm-hmm.
in 2024, their fiscal year, they reported a net sales of approximately $12.1 billion. So the spam industry, as far as gross emails and text messages and all of that, is making more money than spam canned. Like,
and I guess that's why it continues, but that's
and there was, what year was it? There was some guy, 2017. He's Russian, and he literally became the spam villain of the internet because he sent 30% of the world's spam. One man. One Russian man. And you thought your ex was annoying. Like, this Russian man is the epitome of a terrible human. Like, it just, who does that?
That's crazy. But then I question, like, what is he, I don't understand how it all works. What is he getting out of it? Unless you're looking at the emails that are, you know, I live in Uganda and please send me money and rescue
I'm a Nigerian prince.
I'm a Nigerian prince, exactly. Like, you know, it's and this is worldwide. This is not just like we happen to choose Africa, but like, you know, I have gotten some of those, a couple of them here and there.
I mean, the French guys on Hinge that try to sell you cryptocurrency, like, they're everywhere. Spam is everywhere. It's all cybercrime. Like, it's just cybercrime, and it's huge industry.
Yeah. I guess I was watching the show Catfish not long ago, and there was somebody here in the States who, I'm trying to remember now what the episode was about, because I have my brain doesn't wrap itself around shows. So I can watch Arrested Development a million times, and I never remember that the money's in the banana stand. Like, I just can't. My brain doesn't retain information from shows. Like, when people quote movies and TV shows, it blows my mind because I just can't do that. But so if I recall correctly, in this episode, there was somebody in the U.S. that had one of those scams going.
Mm-hmm.
but legitimately weren't getting, like, nobody was sending them money for it. They were just sort of, they were like feeling alone, which, my heart went out to them. I mean, I get that, loneliness can drive people to extend themselves in ways that they might not otherwise. They want that we all need human connection. A lot of us are working from home. I'm not trying to excuse away the catfishing, because that's a whole other thing. But I understand that loneliness and mental health are a very serious conversation, and I don't want to make light of that. What I will make light of is the fact that they were pretending to be some sort of prince from who knows where, and they befriended.
How was a prince though? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. And so I just think it's like, it's not just outside of the US either. It's, it's just so I don't know sometimes if it's earning people money, which I'm sure the man who sent it from Russia, who sent 30% of the world's spam that year, like, I'm sure he was making money off of that somehow. I'm just not sure I can latch on to how that system works.
I don't think that any of us could quite understand it, but I think that the motivation is always just hurt people.
Oh,
help them.
Oh.
It is like, people do some crazy shit. You're right about feeling lonely and trying to fix their hearts and avoid things. So,
I mean, that's it. We all deal with grief in very different ways. We all deal with loneliness in very different ways. And I think sometimes when you run up against people who don't deal with it in constructive ways or healthy ways, or who don't feel that they have the support around them to find healthier, constructive ways, you end up with things like this. Or alternatively, you just like run into some sort of Cruella de Vil in Russia who decides like, hey, fuck it, I'm just going to send 30% of the world's emails and just see what comes back at me. Maybe I'll get some satisfaction out of this.
I'm entering my villain era. I'm gonna send all of the spam messages.
No, you're not. You're so not gonna do that.
No, I don't have time. Who has time?
Who has time for that madness? Who has time for it? This went into such a weird like direction that I didn't expect it to go in, which is what I love about our conversation.
Always.
I'm jumping back though, because there was a fact that I had forgotten about, that I had written down, that I wanted to make sure I mentioned as well, because you were talking about, you went back and like juxtaposed Hormel as a company and how much they made versus how much spam made, which is again mind-blowing. But apparently Hormel sold its billionth can of spam in 1959. 59, its billionth can of spam way back in 59. Like, spam has been alive almost twice as long as I have.
Oh.
That's kind of bizarre. But also, like, they hit the 8 billionth mark in 2012. That's a lot of fucking potted meat.
Oh my God, it's been like so long since then.
I know. And
How many more?
What
is this legacy of spam is going, like, people will be discussing spam long after we die for hundreds of years. Yep. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's kind of maybe where the two spams really meet in the middle, unfortunately, is that both of them really are going to outlive us all.
Oh, it just hurts my heart.
Which is a terrible way to end this episode. Like, how fucking depressing is that?
Okay, well, but we gotta find something redemptive. We can't.
Yeah, like what? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about Girl Scout cookies. Girl Scout cookies are fun. Girl Scout cookies are tasty.
Okay, have you ever been spammed by a Girl Scout?
Yeah, my own daughter. Thank you very much. That kid's gonna be in sales. I'm telling you, she's gonna run a company someday. She's currently the CEO of her school, and she is gonna run a company someday. And that child, this is my youngest I'm talking about, Marlo. That child has sold more. She sold more Girl Scout cookies day one than I don't even understand that mentality. I'm not meant to be in sales. I'm definitely not a salesperson. But she has got it. She is so good that at a Girl Scout booth recently, somebody gave a $50 donation.
Wow.
And somebody else came out and said, I don't eat cookies, but here are flowers for you. Like, precious people of the world, thank you for that.
Really sweet.
I know.
She's good at her job.
And she knows it.
All right, so what have we learned about spam?
What is the moral of the spam story, people?
Maybe like spam was, let's just like go through the highlight reel. It was the original survival food. It then became a scammer's best friend. And whether it's canned meat or digital garbage or full-blown identity theft, we can't escape it.
No.
But at least now we can laugh about it.
Yeah, there's no escape room for spam of any kind.
Don't ever put me in a spam escape room.
Oh my God, that's it. The Spam Museum needs to do an escape room. We're on to something. Who can I call?
Okay, call us, Hormel. We'll talk more about this.
But seriously, if they had a spam escape room, I might actually go. Hey, Austin, Minnesota, you listening?
That's right.